get started. So would you please rise for the presentation of colors, remain standing with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Preset, arms. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Recover.
You may be seated. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today as we honor those who paid the ultimate price to serve and protect us. In 1961, then President John F. Kennedy directed that May 15th be set aside as Law Enforcement Officer Memorial Day to ensure that the commitment, dedication, and sacrifice made by all those fallen officers would never be forgotten. Because many of the law enforcement officers or their families cannot be present for the ceremonies at the National Memorial Service, which is today in Washington, D.C., we welcome you to our annual Law Enforcement Officer Memorial Service today. We gathered this afternoon to recognize, to remember, and to honor all the men and women in law enforcement who have laid down their lives in the line of duty in this past year, 2022. We pay our deepest respects to all those men and women and their families. We wish to express our gratitude for the ultimate sacrifice they have made. We also recognize the surviving loved ones of those fallen officers and pray that they and their sacrifice will not soon be forgotten. To read the proclamation, I introduce you Mayor Joan Peck.
Good afternoon. This is a proclamation designating the week of May 14th through the 20th, 2023 as National Police Week, and further designating May 15th, 2023 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in Longmont, Colorado. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Longmont Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the residents of Longmont, Colorado. Whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies. And whereas it is essential that members of our law enforcement agencies recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the Boulder County Regional Peace Officer Memorial Service will be held today at 4 p.m. on May 15th, 2023 at the Longmont Civic Center. Now therefore, I, Joan Peck, Mayor, by virtue and the authority vested in me and the City Council of the City of Longmont, call upon all residents of Longmont and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 14th through the 20th, 2023 as National Police Week and join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who have dedicated their service to our community. I further call upon all residents of Longmont to join us to honor the law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community, or have become disabled in the performance of duty at the ceremony observing Peace Officers Memorial Day on Monday, May 15th, 2023.
In 2022, we lost 245 law enforcement officers in our nation. We're here to honor those law enforcement officers who lost their lives in the line of duty in 2022. We lost 3 officers in the state of Colorado. Police Officer Dylan Michael Vakoff, Arvada Police Department, end of watch Sunday, September 11th, 2022. Deputy Sheriff Andrew Peary, El Paso County Sheriff's Office, end of watch August 7, 2022. K9 Jinx, El Paso County Sheriff's Office, end of watch April 11, 2022. Let us observe a moment of silence to remember all the officers. The following readings are meant to be words that bring comfort, that honor, and that cause us to remember in the middle of grief and difficulty.
Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lechzer, bino shteshe arbitzeni, Ame menuchot yinaleni, nafshi yishov yancheni maglik tzedek, leman shemo, kam ki yelch begeit salmavet, lo irora ki ata imati, shivtecha mishantecha, hema yenachmuni, tarek lefanei shulchan, nagaseri shanta b'shem reish chayser vaya, ach tov v'chesed yirfuni kol yemechaya, v'shavti beis Adonai liorech yamim. A psalm by David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He lays me down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He revives my soul. He directs me in paths of righteousness for the sake of his name. Though I walk in the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table before me, before my enemies. You have anointed my head with oils, my cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me in all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long years.
Thin blue line. There is a thin blue line which runs through the center of darkness. The darkness represents the evil in this world. The thin blue line represents our peacekeepers. The line is representative of the brotherhood and sisterhood of warriors, a few good men and women amongst a sea of darkness. The line that stands between good and evil, the barrier that serves those in need and protects them from the evil amongst us. It is thin because few dare to stand it, outnumbered but united, a line that will not falter in the wake of the enemy, a line of protection for those in need.
Matthew 5, 3 through 10. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
I invite you to bow your head with me as we say the police officer's prayer. Lord, help me to serve and protect and uphold the laws of the land. Help me to keep the peace with courage and dignity and to use sound judgment in all situations. In force should become necessary, may it be in good conscience. Let me never forget the humanity in all people. When earthly justice sometimes fails, I know heavenly justice will prevail. Watch over me and my fellow officers as we work for the community's safety. Be my companion on my daily bear and the long night watches. Put my loved ones' worries to rest as you guide and protect me. May I honor my uniform by serving the community with courtesy and integrity. I would like to, amen. I would like to honor and recognize our dignitaries, as well as introduce our speakers to you for this afternoon. Dignitary Judge Robert Frick, Mayor Joan Peck, Councilman Tim Waters, District Attorney Michael Doherty, and those of you who are in the crowd as well. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I would like to introduce to you our speakers for the day. We will first hear from Longmont Police Chief Jeff Sater about the spirit of service, followed by Boulder Police Department Officer Brian Pleiter, and lastly, Sheriff Johnson from the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Satter. I'm the Chief of Police for the Longmont Police Department. May 15th is the National Peace Officers Memorial Day, a day of solemn remembrance, reflection, and recognition for the fallen officers, their brave and selfless service. The police profession is a noble and honorable profession. Our officers are called upon to serve and protect our communities, often at great personal risk. Each day, our officers put on their uniforms and go into a world not knowing what challenges they may face. Unfortunately, that service and protection comes at a cost. Since the founding of this great nation, over 23,000 law enforcement officers have given their lives to protect our communities. Yet, even in the most difficult of times, our peace officers continue to serve. It is this spirit of service that I want to talk about today. It has been said there is no higher calling than to serve as a law enforcement officer. Spirit of service refers to complete dedication and commitment to duties. It includes sympathy and empathy. It means expecting nothing in return for the services rendered. When a critical incident or death occurs in our community, police officers are often the first to arrive on scene. They are first to respond to gunfire and any other traumatic event that occurs in our communities. They witness firsthand the devastating impact these events can have on individuals and families and the toll it can take on the community. Despite the emotional and physical toll, that responding to these incidents can have, police officers often remain steadfast in their willingness to serve. This unwavering dedication to the duty and the service is a testament to the strength and resilience of our law enforcement community, and it serves as a reminder of the sacrifices they make every day to keep us safe. I recognize that the position of a police officer is not an easy task, and it is certainly not performed for recognition. Shift work, long hours, conflict between work and family roles, coping with trauma, and a negative public perception of the police weigh heavily on our staff. However, despite the challenges, we are incredibly grateful and feel blessed to work in this profession. I also remain grateful for the spouses and family members who on a daily basis support an active law enforcement officer. My heart remains forever with the families who have lost an officer serving in this profession. This day, let us pay tribute to and remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And let us renew our commitment to supporting and honoring the brave men and women who continue to serve with distinction. Thank you. May God bless our fallen officers and their families. May God bless all our law enforcement officers who continue to serve and protect our communities each and every day.
Hi, I'm Officer Pleiter with the Boulder Police Department. I was invited here to speak today on the process of healing that a department goes through in the wake of a tragedy. I was one of the officers that responded to the King Super shooting in the city of Boulder. I was there when we lost our brother in blue, Officer Eric Talley, and I witnessed firsthand the support that we received from all of these different entities after that tragedy and how it helped our department heal. Now, this speech could be extremely short, and I could sum it up in one word, but I'm going to elaborate a little bit today. That word is community. Community is not just the communities that law enforcement officers swear to serve and protect. Community can mean a number of things, but I'm going to talk about 3 specific communities here today. In the wake of the tragedy after the King Super shooting, I'm going to talk about first the law enforcement officer and first responder community. And what I saw firsthand was officers and first responders from around the area, hundreds and hundreds of officers flooding in to the city to help. They had no idea what they were getting into. They had no idea what they were coming to, how they were going to help, but they were there and they were ready to help. In the wake of that, we had a funeral to plan for Officer Talley, and we had the streets to cover. We had officers that wanted to go to this funeral, and the law enforcement agencies from the surrounding agencies came to our aid. They worked the streets that they'd never worked before. They answered calls for service in a city that they had never worked before, and if they had not done that, if they had not put in those overtime hours and made that sacrifice and came to our aid, there is no way that we would have been able to attend the funeral of our fallen brother. The next community I'm going to talk about is the traditional community that you think of, the communities that we work in, the communities that we police, that we swear to protect and serve. And what I witnessed firsthand in the city of Boulder is I saw nonprofit organizations sprout up. I saw all of the helpers within our communities that go about their daily lives, and then when tragedy strikes, they stand up and they come forward and they are there to help. And I saw that in the city of Boulder, and I still see it to this day. There's organizations that still help the community in the wake of that tragedy to this day, and they are more than willing to help our law enforcement officers too. The last community that I'm going to talk about today is the community within our own department, because when the dust settled and years had passed and months had passed, the healing was not done yet. There was still healing to be done within our own department. But the other agencies had gone back to their own agencies because they had stuff to deal with themselves. The community had to go about its business. The memorial stopped, and all that started to slow down. We had to rely on ourselves, the community within our own department. And I'm not just talking about the law enforcement officers. When I talk about a police department, I'm talking about the sworn, the non-sworn, the non-commissioned, the civilian staff, all of the volunteer organizations that are and programs that are a part of a police department that make it up. I saw it in the Boulder Police Department come together as a community and help each other heal. So I leave you with this. To heal from a tragedy in a department, it requires community.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Curtis Johnson, the Boulder County Sheriff. I first want to apologize for blowing in here a little late. I'm the boss who typically preaches, if you're not early, you're late. And today, the Burlington Northern Railroad decided to park a train just about everywhere I tried to get to Longmont. So I apologize for that. Before I begin, I'd really like to thank our chaplain team for organizing this event. It means a lot to all of us here that you support our employees and us on a daily basis. I myself have called upon our chaplain on a couple of occasions to support me, and we appreciate you putting this event together every year. I also want to thank the community members that are here. As Brian was just talking about community, and that will roll into what I'm going to talk about, your support of us and our employees means everything to us. It is sometimes the one thing that keeps us going. So we appreciate you being here. And I also want to recognize the City of Longmont for hosting this event. As you do every year, we appreciate coming up here. I want to talk briefly about how meaningful community support really is in difficult times. And over the last couple of years, we have had our fair share of tragedies in Boulder County. Both with the King Soopers shooting in March of 2021, more recently the Marshall Fire that devastated the south end of the county. After all of those incidents, we have seen our communities step up and support not only individuals displaced by fire or families impacted by the gravity of the shooting at King Soopers, but also supporting our employees and first responders who've had to pick it up, put on their clothes, and go back to work each and every day. And like I said before, that means the world to us. There are a few of us in the room that were at an academy graduation a week ago up in Fort Collins. And the keynote speaker at that graduation was a kind of gruff-looking captain from the Larimer County Sheriff's Office. He's worked in the State Patrol for many, many years, big, bald, burly. And when he began to speak to the recently graduated cadets, I thought for sure he'd be talking about how they needed to be mentally tough and how the work they were getting into was going to be hard. But more importantly, what he told them was that maybe contrary to what they had heard in the last 2 or 3 years, this isn't a bad time to enter this profession. It's actually a good time to get into policing. And I thought about that on the drive home that night and in the days following with the defund movement and with the anti-police sentiment and with all of the things that are going on with reimagining or reshaping what policing looks like. I actually came to realize he's exactly right. This is a good time to get into this profession. This is a good time to be a part of working in law enforcement and keeping our communities safe. There are great opportunities ahead of us, and there are also support mechanisms and things going on in policing that never existed before that create better career opportunities for new employees than many of us older people ever had available to us. We have organizations that support us, from our faith community, from our mental health professional community, our peer support teams, our ability to connect with community members who really deep down care about the work that we do to keep our communities safe each and every day. And while Police Week is a very important time for us to remember those who lost their lives in service to their communities, it's also an important time for us to recognize the community support that we get on days like today and during this week. And while we strive to reduce the number of violent deaths involving law enforcement officers, We're also, more so than ever, committed to reducing the negative impacts of this difficult career on our employees and our own health and our own mental wellness. It is a good time to get into this profession, and I ask you in the community to please continue to support our efforts. We will continue to hire and train new officers and deputies. We will continue to evolve our profession, and we will continue to serve our communities with pride with the help and support that we get from all of our supporting communities. Thank you.
In 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation designating May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which that date falls is officially recognized as Police Week. Today, May 15th, 2023, we honor the memory of these fallen officers. In 2022, 245 law enforcement officers nationwide paid the ultimate sacrifice while serving their communities. May they rest in peace. These officers are now end of watch dispatches.
Half right. Yes. Ready. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire.
We Remember by Chaplain Bill Lee. We remember a time of sorrow and grief. We offer our prayers and concern. We can only imagine the hurt and pain. We remember. We denounce acts of violence. We affirm our solidarity with all. We believe. We remember a time of searching. We remember a time to search for peace. Now is the time for silence and prayer. Now is the time to live our beliefs. For a call to continue our search for peace, as we remember.
I'd like to invite you to stand for our closing benediction. And you don't need to close your eyes for this closing blessing. As we close today, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you with his favor and grant you and our fallen officers his peace. Amen. Again, it means so much to us that you would take time to join us today for this service to remember and honor and celebrate the lives of those that have fallen in the line of duty to protect and serve us. This concludes our service. May you be blessed the rest of this day. Thank you.